So this is the first part of the October update of the Willoughby New Haven line. I'm going to show you how I built my Golden Valley Depot kit. It is over here on the layout. It went together super easy. It was kind of a different construction than I'm used to. It had panels that fit on top of and around the window piece. So the windows are molded in onto one piece here, and that was all painted brown, so the window was painted brown, and then the paneling on the outside, the exterior paneling, just fit right on top, and it was cut out already, so it just fit around the window as one piece. And then up here on this section here, each one of those white pieces is a separate piece that just fit on top of the brown piece around all of the molding, if that makes sense. And same with the front. The bay windowed area here, that was 3 separate pieces, but this is a separate piece, that's a separate little piece, and so on. So it made painting it extremely easy, and the pieces fit in really well together once they were sanded a little bit, so it made construction of it super easy. But the painting was super easy because I just painted the window sections all brown the way I wanted them, and all the wood paneling the white that I wanted, and there was no masking needed, if that makes sense. So super fun, super easy to build. Still probably a few little odds and ends I need to add. It comes with somewhat of an interior. You could obviously do your own, but it did come with a wall, a chimney to kind of separate this section, I guess, where baggage and packages and stuff would go, and then some kind of room in there with an interior room. So I added 2 details. There's a phone booth, and if you can see a barrel in there, just so when you look through it looks like there's something. I don't have it currently lit. I can't remember. Oh yeah, no, it's not lit, but I have the wires hanging down. I just have to put them in. I think I had it lit for a while, and then I added some more details, so I had to undo it. But yeah, it's all pretty much in the location it's going to be. I've got a little bit of a kind of a weird parking area here. Trying to figure out, probably add a little bit more concrete back here, but even, you know, something like that for a car or two kind of at the end of this road is, I don't know, it makes sense in my mind visually. I think it makes enough sense. So that's pretty much it. The kit was pretty easy. I'm glad I got it. As far as other passenger stations, I'm not really sure. I've toyed around with putting one in this section, and then one where my yogurt cup is. One will probably definitely go over here at some point. But yeah, so that's that part of the update. Next little section of the update is a paint fade that I did on this Locomotive. It still needs to have some dirt and grime added, probably with my airbrush, but I did do a paint fade with oil paint using white that I had for paintings that I've done in the past. And the technique is available online on YouTube. I know I've seen it done a bunch of times. I haven't done a lot of it, but I did try it on this, and I did some oil cars as well, which are around somewhere. But you essentially put the oil colors down, specifically white, and brush it out, and it gives you the impression that the paint is faded. It actually is a thin layer of white paint on top, but it gives the impression that the paint is faded. It's subtle. I tried to make it subtle. I didn't want to go overboard, but I think it's kind of the first step before you add dirt and grime. So I kind of took a step back and tried that for this Locomotive. And then I tried it on, I think I tried maybe on this oil car. I don't think I did this one because it doesn't look like it. I've got a few others around the layout. I can't remember. I might have tried it on this, or maybe both of these, and then I need to weather those as well. So oil paint, paint fade worked out pretty well on this Locomotive. I feel like I did it on this one a little too, probably on the orange parts in the front maybe. I can't remember. I also weathered the walkway on my S1. It looks pretty decent to my liking. This needs to be weathered on my RS3. It's just too new looking compared to the rest of the Locomotive. I probably need to do some more grime on the black part especially. It just looks too shiny and new. So yeah, I've been taking little steps to weather some of my Locomotives, and it's kind of like I do a little here, a little there. It's not like I set out and do one start to finish. Kind of like with my paintings, I feel like my paintings are never done, just as weathering is never really done. So that's that for the Locomotive weathering update. I also added or acquired a couple new vehicles for the layout, so the city scene is coming together a little bit better. Vehicles add so much. I already had this one. I got, I think these might be either Oxford or Classic Metalworks, probably a combination. I forget which is which. They're pretty similar from my experience with those two brands. I like the way they look. There's a decent variety, and I really have no complaints with those two brands. I think that's an Oxford. That's an Oxford. I forget which one this one was, but this was I acquired over the summer. So slowly but surely adding vehicles. Oh, this one I think is new as well. A recent addition. Kind of a fan of that one. So yeah, adding vehicles adds so much. They can be expensive relative to what you might want to spend on them, considering that they, I don't know, to me they're not as exciting as, you know, rolling stock or locomotives or buildings, but it's just one of those things that adds so much. So I'm slowly building up my fleet of vehicles. So the next little addition that I've added are telephone poles that I've created, scratch built from skewers that I had that are probably almost about 7 inches long out of the package. I don't remember where I found them. They're old, and I cut them down to about 4.5 inches so they can go into the turf and then stick up the appropriate amount. I forget which YouTube video I watched on how to make these, but I did use a YouTube video, and I used scraps that I had from, we can go to the workbench and I can show you, I had scraps from laser kit pieces that I used for the cross pieces. So this is the skewer. I cut the top part off, so I've got extra these. You can see how many how many I cut, and then I use these pieces for the cross piece, and then I use styrene, just regular strip styrene. I forget exactly what dimension. I have it written down somewhere in my notes, but I use just regular styrene for the cross pieces, or for the braces to the cross piece. I don't have the, I guess they're little transformers or insulators. I'm not sure what the little metal things on top are. I haven't added those in yet. I know people 3D print them. I've been trying to, I haven't put a lot of effort into thinking about it, but I did try to rack my brain to think what little parts I had that I could use for those. But I've started to add the poles around the layout. I've got some going across here on this section. I definitely need to have some going up the hillside, and a few more going over onto that section of the newer table. I've got some going across the yard in between the inbound and outbound tracks. and then I've got some on the other side there of that section. So I'm gonna need some in the back with the two industries in the far end there, and then some over in this section as well. I haven't added any wires yet. I don't know if I will. I used canopy glue, which is my favorite glue for most things, to glue these guys in there. They flex a little bit, so if I accidentally bump them, they won't snap, but they'll kind of flex with my bumping of them. So there's some give. I feel like if they were hard and fastened in there, they'd be more likely to snap at the bottom. So the canopy glue gives a little bit of flexibility, but it holds them up enough that they don't really bend or lean over. So that's it for the telephone poles. I used the Rust-Oleum flat gray primer and then dry brushed acrylics on top. So I used this and then a variety of my acrylic paints, probably that brown there and some other gray on top of it, and probably some powders. But I'm pretty psyched with how they came out. Pretty simple little nighttime project, and I think they add a lot. Let's go into the next section. The last part of this update is going to be talking about some more foliage. I've been adding little bits here and there of a variety of different things. I added some to this kind of cliff hillside here, and I've done a bunch of static grass with my homemade applicator. I added a bunch back here and a bunch going up the hill on both sides. And I also have this Woodland Scenics brush, I think it's called, that I've been adding. I added some more here. It's darker, it shows up light on the camera, but it's this stuff here. Bushes, not brush, bushes. And it's kind of in between clump foliage and coarse turf, and it kind of sticks together a little bit, so it looks like bushes, I guess is a great way to put it. And so like this is clump foliage that I've kind of built up, and then these are the bushes, and again it looks so much lighter on the camera, but I've been using that package in various random areas. Some of these are newly added puff tree bushes, and I've been making a bunch more puff trees that I'm trying to kind of get a handle on filling up that hillside. So I've started to make several more. I have a whole bag there of fiberfill. I'm gonna try to make as many as I can and fill in this hillside and get rid of some of those meatball looking things. When I'm rolling them, I'm trying to keep them more as like a higher oval as opposed to a round ball. So I think that will kind of fit better with its look as an actual tree as opposed to just a round puff thing, so to speak. I started to do that on some of these. This tall green one in the back I think looks pretty decent. A few in the front there look very round and kind of fake, so I'm trying different things with those puff trees still. And today, after I mowed the grass, I got a few more brand new harvested cone hydrangea. This one's still got some leaves on there. So I can trim these down to fit a better scale, and the pieces that I trim off I can use for smaller shrubs or trees. And using a variety of material, flocking material and things, you can get different looks with these things. I've used static grass on these to make them look more like pine. I've used coarse turf to make them look more deciduous. And there's a variety of different things that I have. Super leaves I have as well, which are in these things here. That's a random recycled bunch that I've got, and I've got some more stuff over here. So I use a lot of the super leaves and coarse turf. This stuff works really well with them as well. I need to actually get more coarse turf and some blended earth, but yeah, I've been just trying to add as many trees as I can with the material I've got. Every tree counts, so to speak. I've added a few in this section. I think these might be new since the last update. I know these two are new. These came out really good, and those are the hydrangea. Both of those are hydrangea. This one has that mixture on it. It's got some earth blend, coarse turf, super leaf. It's got a variety of stuff that I recycled from various cups that I used to dip the trees into. And this one looks more like a pine, but it's using the green coarse turf, so they look good mixed in. So yeah, the static grass I've done a bunch of, and just using those bushes from Woodland Scenics and just doing a bunch of different stuff. This is my static grass applicator that I built a while ago. I forget, it might have been Luke Towan's video or Larry Puckett's video, or a combination, to make my static grass applicator. And then I recently watched a video this week, and the cup on mine is ginormous, and it does large areas, and there's a lot of waste. And since my layout is somewhat established, if I want to do like a small area with that big cup, it's kind of cumbersome. So I may redesign it to get a smaller opening area here, and like a smaller, you know, applicator part of it, something, you know, smaller, like almost if I flip the mechanics of it around, so it's a smaller container for the grass to come out of. So I may play around with that at some point, but that's gonna probably wrap it up for this episode. I had worked on this hillside underneath. It took a couple of nights to build up that hillside to get that structure in there the way I wanted it, and I'm pretty pleased with how that came out. I decided to turn it as well. Initially it was facing this way, and I kind of like the way it sits here, so something like that. And yeah, so that's gonna wrap it up for the October update. I'll have some trains running probably. I think this was a rather short, or a shorter update, so hopefully we'll have some trains running. And have a good October. Happy Halloween. Stay safe, be good, and we'll see you in November.
Locomotive.